Hi folks, how are you doing? Today at the Tromsø Chess Olympiad 6th round, we had another clash of the titans on the first board of the Italy-Norway matchup. Fabiano Caruana, the superstar from Italy, was facing with white pieces Magnus Carlsen, who was black today. There we go, Caruana plays e4 as usually, and really a huge surprise here by Magnus Carlsen choosing his defense. He goes with one d5, Scandinavian defense. Really surprise. I remember having him seen playing almost every defense in this world, but not the Scandinavian, not one d5. And the surprise was even bigger when after queen takes, knight c3, he didn't go with the queen a5, which is considered to be in the main move, but he goes right back to d8, just like his opponent Jukic from Montenegro did a couple of days ago. That time he was white and ended up winning in a fine style that game. Now he just repeats this defense, and really I'm sure this will be a very trendy defense from now on between lots of people, because if Carlsen can play it, everybody can play it, it seems. And there it goes, queen back to d8. It isn't considered to be very good, but why not? Magnus Carlsen doesn't fight for advantage right out of the opening. He doesn't care about the opening that much. He wants a playable position, and that's what he gets. Knight f6, knight f3, bishop g4, h3, repeating the moves. Now c6, protecting the center, protecting b7. And in this position, of course, d4 is under attack, so Carlsen played with white pieces against Jukic, queen d3 a couple of days ago. And now here Caruana thought for a long while. I'm sure kind of afraid of stepping on Magnus Carlsen's preparation or something. He didn't play the more common bishop e3, for instance, here. Instead, he defends the pawn with knight to e2. It's now sure that this bishop is going to develop through g2, and it's another way of playing, I guess. Black plays e6, he goes g4, and now queen d5, very nice move by black. And this actually reminds me of one of the World Championship games back from Chennai 2013, the one with the Caruana defense, in which also with black pieces Carlsen offered this queen d5, queen exchange, having c6 and e6 with pawns, very similar position I think against Vishy Anand. Caruana plays bishop g2, saying if you want it, just take it. Black keeps developing, and now he plays queen g3, unleashing an attack, discovered attack with the bishop against black queen. Queen c4 is what black plays, attacking c2 and, well, not allowing white to castle as e2. The knight on e2 would be hanging. So it's here when Caruana goes ahead and offers himself the queen exchange. I guess the other idea he had, he could have played c3 defending c2, and later could have thought about b3 chasing away this queen, but he was happy at least. It seems he's with the queen exchange here. He takes towards the center with the a pawn. Now he has an open file for his rook on a1, and this is a slight but comfortable and long-term edge for white, I think. Bishop pair, open a file, a kind of a position which I'm sure Carlsen himself would have enjoyed with white. Carlsen with black pieces today played bishop d6, now c4, having quite some advantage in the center, space advantage here with these pawns. a6, protecting this a file, because after bishop e3 Magnus was planning to castle long. So does Caruana, castling long, and we have pretty much balanced position, but I think white is slightly better here. As I said, some space advantage, bishop pair. But of course this is a position very much playable for both, so this is what Carlsen wants out of the opening, just a position where he can show his superior abilities. superior understanding of positional chess. Now Caruana plays knight g3, and there he goes. Magnus recycles his knight to f8, probably to go to g6. Now bishop f3, which in fact is defending g4, as it seems white is planning to play h4, defending g4 this way. And of course knight g6, having some control over the f4 dark square. h4, bishop f4, h5, fourth sequence here of taking with check, f takes, and the knight goes back to e7, e4, and well, it may seem that only white could be better here, but now Carlsen is going to perform magic once again. He's going to show us that this position has more a future for black than it seems, and in a couple of moves is going to be really in a very solid position. He's playing h6, stop white from going to g5 easily, and creates the positional threat of putting the knight on h7, then going to g5 with a strong control over lots of interesting squares, light squares here in the center, with a very strong knight on g5. That's simple. e5, knight h7. Of course, in exchange, white is going to get as well very strong squares for his knight. d6 or c5 right now is threatening a fork to the king and the rook, so very fine move by black. Gets away from the rook and protects the vulnerable, the weak point of his own pawn structure, the f7 pawn. Knight check, king to c7, and now there is no way that white can stop this knight g5 attacking the bishop, so Caruana just anticipates it and gets away from the attack. Knight g5, and this is a very beautiful move because it's also defending almost the only weak point, the weakness of black position, this f7 backward pawn, weak pawn here. Now note that the rook is protecting, the knight is very well placed here and protecting, although the white knight is also attacking here. So really, rook hf1 keeps putting pressure here, but Carlsen doesn't lose any time to get rid of this weakness. He plays f6. He can afford it. He has a couple of protectors here. Caruana plays king c2, f takes, d takes, no more f7 weakness here. And he just tries to remove the strong knight of white here on d6. c5, of course Carlsen now he's not going to take because it would allow protected passed pawn here on d6. Very annoying and dangerous. Instead he is pragmatic, he just goes back. Now his knight is heading to d5, another very strong knight he's going to have in the center of the board. And really performing a very well maneuvers here on the middle game, showing his good understanding of positional chess. Out of nowhere he got a couple of very nice knights here. White plays b4, and Jean says this is not correct. It is suggesting here to play moves like king d3, and after knight d5 to play strange move like bishop h1, just struggling to keep the balance for white. So that also already means that black is already doing here very fine. And after b4 he's taking the initiative with natural knight d5, not really threatening the pawn, but the huge check here on e3, attacking everything in the world, winning the house, attacking the king, both rooks and the bishop. So of course white must avoid that, and the way Caruana deals with it is taking the bishop here, but allowing a passed pawn, a strong protective passed pawn here on d5 for black, and really allowing to have really a dubious pawn structure here. He plays b5, a takes, knight takes check, but after king c6 it is very clear that these pawns of white in the center are now very weak, and white's position is already really dubious, quite a complicated one to hold, because black without doing really that much, has forced white into creating weaknesses, weakening his own position. And there it goes. The king is attacking here. The knight is going to attack here. White went back with the knight to f6, so to d6. Of course, black cannot take. Tactics will always here favor white with the fork, but Carlsen just keeps cool. He plays knight f3, attacking simply the weak e5 pawn, and there is no serious way to try and defend it. White plays b4, rook a8, controlling the a file. Caruana tries to contest that a file, but the rook takes a1, rook takes a1. Magnus just takes e5 easily. Here, rook e1 may seem to regain the pawn on e6, but unfortunately, here tactics are favoring black, as knight f3 and rook takes e6 is not possible because knight d4 check, forking the rook and the king and winning the house here. That's why after knight takes e5, Caruana, pretty desperately I must say, tries to reorganize his forces here and try to create counterplay against this b7 pawn against black king. But really, Carlsen keeps cool. He won't let this slip between his hands. He just protects the pawn with b8. He's up a pawn. He has the passed pawn, and positionally he's winning here. Caruana goes back with the rook, but simple moves here, b6, and now this structure, it is clear that it's very artificially held here, very weak, almost in the air. Caruana goes back to a7, now attacking g7, but simply b takes, of course threatening the knight. That's why rook check, king back, now b takes, but simple moves here. Knight d7, just attacking that pawn. Rook a7 check, king c6, g5, almost a desperate position for white, trying to get something going here. But Carlsen just takes on c5. Now the knight is under attack, so it goes to f7, attacking h6 pawn with the pawn and the knight. But remember this, Carlsen now has a couple of central passed pawns, connected passed pawns, and this is a huge force right now. d4 starts to keep them, starts to roll them. Knight check, but this is in fact helping black king to centralize and help his pawn, king d5. And here is the fatal mistake by Caruana, allowing this rook endgame. But anyway, the position was absolutely lost. Here after d3 check, king back to c1, Carlsen just exchanges the knights, and after the check, the king goes even further to the center, and this pair of passed pawns are absolutely unstoppable. So there it goes, a very fine victory, another kind of magical performance by Magnus Carlsen, creating a winning position out of nowhere, absolutely outplaying his opponent, the very strong GM Caruana from Italy, in the middle game. And there it goes, and the game is over. Carlsen wins once again, and the wheel keeps spinning. Thanks for watching.